Spanish language, RW. If after years of Spanish classes, some people still find it impossible to understand some native speakers, they should not worry. This does not necessarily mean the lessons were wasted. Millions of Spanish speakers use neither standard Latin American Spanish nor Castilian, which predominate in U.S. schools. The confusion is partly political. The Spanish-speaking world is very diverse. Spanish is the language of 19 separate countries and Puerto Rico. This means that there is no one standard dialect. The most common Spanish dialect taught in the U.S. is Standard Latin American. It is sometimes called Highland Spanish since it is generally spoken in the mountainous areas of Latin America, while each country retains its own accents and has some unique vocabulary. Residents of countries such as Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia generally speak Latin American Spanish, especially in urban centers. This dialect is noted for its pronunciation of each letter and its strong R sounds. This Spanish was spoken in Spain in the 16th and 17th centuries and was brought to the Americas by the early colonists. However, the Spanish of Madrid and of northern Spain, called Castilian, developed characteristics that never reached the New World. That Sigmund Freud became a major intellectual presence in 20th century culture is not in doubt. Nor is there any doubt that at all times there was both fervent enthusiasm over and bitter hostility to his ideas and influence. But the exact means by which Freud became, despite this hostility, a master of intellectual life, on a par, already in the 1920s, with Karl Marx, Albert Einstein, Marie Curie and Bertrand Russell, has not been sufficiently explored. Strikingly, Freud emerged as a 20th century icon without the endorsement and support of an institution or a profession, in contrast to Einstein, Curie and Russell. Where are we to look for the details of this story of an emergent, and new, figure of immense cultural authority? One of the principal aims of this book is to show how this happened in one local, parochial yet privileged, site, Cambridge, then as now a university town stranded in the English fens with a relatively small fluctuating population. Cultural studies is a new way of engaging in the study of culture. In the past, many academic subjects including anthropology, history, literary studies, human geography and sociology, have brought their own disciplinary concerns to the study of culture. However, in recent decades there has been a renewed interest in the study of culture that has crossed disciplinary boundaries. The resulting activity, cultural studies, has emerged as an intriguing and exciting area of intellectual inquiry that has already shed important new light on the character of human cultures and which promises to continue so to do. While there is little doubt that cultural studies is coming to be widely recognized as an important and distinctive field of study, it does seem to encompass a potentially enormous area. This is because the term, culture, has a complex history and range of usages, which have provided a legitimate focus of inquiry for several academic disciplines. Many people today think of culture in the way that it was thought of in Europe during the 18th and early 19th centuries. This concept of culture reflected inequalities within European societies and their colonies around the world. This understanding of culture equates culture with civilization and contrasts both with nature or non-civilization. According to this understanding of culture, some countries are more civilized than others, and some people are more cultured than others. Anything that doesn't fit into this category is labeled as chaos or anarchy. From this perspective, culture is closely tied to cultivation, which is the progressive refinement of human behavior. In practice, culture referred to elite goods and activities such as haute cuisine, high fashion or haute couture, museum caliber art and classical music. The word cultured referred to people who knew about and took part in these activities. For example, someone who used culture in this sense might argue that classical music is more refined than music by working class people, such as jazz or the indigenous music traditions of Aboriginal and peoples. For too long we have held preconceived notions of the market and the state that was seemingly independent of local societies and cultures. The debate about civil society ultimately is about how culture, market and state relate to each other. Concern about civil society, however, is not only relevant to Central and Eastern Europe and the developing world. It is very much of interest to the European Union as well. The civil dialogue initiated by the Commission in the 1990s was a first attempt by the EU to give the institutions of society, and not only governments and businesses, a voice at the policy-making tables in Brussels. The EU, like other international institutions, has a long way to go in trying to accommodate the frequently divergent interests of non-governmental organizations and citizen groups. There is increasing recognition that international and national governments have to open up to civil society institutions.